He still doesn't know you're alive. The words remained in Zuri Bennett's mind long after the phone call ended. She stared at the screen. The unknown number was gone. Tae-hyun was standing beside her. What did she mean? Zuri looked at him. She said she knows where your child is. My child? Yes. Tae-hyun's face had gone pale. That doesn't make sense. I know. My family never told me I had a child. Maybe they didn't know. He shook his head. No. His voice became firmer. Someone knew. Zuri looked toward the living room. Eli was still laughing with Junho. 6 years ago, Zuri had believed she had lost the only man she had ever loved. Now she was standing beside the brother of that man, holding a phone call that suggested something even more impossible. Tae-hyun had a child. A child who had apparently been hidden for years. And the person who knew where that child was had given them one instruction. Mokpo. Before midnight. Tae-hyun grabbed his coat. We're leaving. Zuri followed. Shouldn't we tell Junho? Tae-hyun stopped. If this is connected to what happened to him, we can't risk letting anyone know where we're going. What about Eli? He stays here. Zuri looked toward her son. She didn't like leaving him. But she knew Tae-hyun was right. She called a trusted security officer and gave him strict instructions. No one was to enter the house. No one was to take Eli anywhere. Then she turned back to Tae-hyun. Let's go. The drive from Busan toward Mokpo was long. Rain began falling against the windshield. Neither of them spoke for nearly an hour. Finally, Zuri broke the silence. You never told me about another woman. Tae-hyun kept his eyes on the road. Because there wasn't one. Then how could you have a child? I don't know. You're sure? Yes. Zuri studied him. There was no anger in his face. Only confusion. Then he said something that made her heart tighten. If I have a child out there. He paused. I don't know how I survived all these years without knowing. Zuri reached across the center console. She placed her hand over his. You're going to find out. Tae-hyun looked at her. And if the child is really mine? Then you'll finally get the chance to be his father. They reached Mokpo shortly before midnight. The rain had become heavier. The city was nearly empty. They followed the instructions from the unknown caller toward a remote coastal road. At the end of the road stood an old lighthouse. Its light swept across the dark ocean. Tae-hyun parked. Zuri looked around. No one is here. Then a figure appeared. A woman stood beneath a black umbrella. She was Korean. Late 30s. Her face was tense. She looked at Tae-hyun. Then at Zuri. You came. Tae-hyun stepped forward. Who are you? My name is Han Soo-jin. Where is my child? Soo-jin looked toward the lighthouse. You don't understand what you're walking into. Tae-hyun's voice hardened. I've spent 6 years believing my brother was dead. If someone has been hiding my child from me, I deserve the truth. Soo-jin looked at Zuri. Does he know? Know what? Soo-jin swallowed. Who the child is. Zuri stepped closer. Tell us. Soo-jin pulled a photograph from her coat. She handed it to Tae-hyun. His hands began trembling. The photograph showed a little boy. About 7 years old. Dark hair. Soft brown eyes. And a tiny crescent-shaped birthmark beneath his left ear. Tae-hyun stared. I've never seen him. Soo-jin whispered. His name is Min-jae. Tae-hyun looked up. Where is he? Soo-jin pointed toward the lighthouse. He's inside. Tae-hyun moved immediately. But Soo-jin grabbed his arm. There is something you need to know first. What? Your family didn't steal him because he was your son. Tae-hyun frowned. Then why? Soo-jin looked at Zuri. Because of who his mother was. Soo-jin told them about a woman named Leah Morgan. Leah was a Black American researcher who had come to South Korea years earlier to work with a maritime environmental organization. She had met Tae-hyun during an international shipping conference in Busan. They became close. Very close. But Tae-hyun's family had strongly opposed the relationship. Especially his uncle, Do-hwan. Zuri listened silently. Leah became pregnant, Soo-jin continued. Tae-hyun didn't know? He knew she was pregnant. Tae-hyun stared at her. No. Soo-jin looked at him. Yes. Tae-hyun's breathing became heavier. I would remember that. You didn't get the chance. Soo-jin explained. The night Leah planned to tell Tae-hyun she was pregnant, She was involved in a serious accident. Her vehicle was forced off a coastal road. She survived, but she was badly injured. Before she could contact Tae-hyun, someone reached her first. They told her Tae-hyun had rejected the pregnancy. They told her the Seo family would never accept the child. And they convinced her to leave Korea. But Leah refused. So the threats became worse. Eventually, she disappeared. Her newborn son disappeared with her. Tae-hyun stared at Soo-jin. Who told her I didn't want the child? Soo-jin didn't answer. He already knew. Do-hwan. The lighthouse door opened. A little boy stepped out. He was holding a small toy boat. He looked at Tae-hyun. Tae-hyun couldn't move. The boy studied him. Then he asked, "Are you Mr. Seo?" Tae-hyun swallowed. "Yes." The boy looked at Soo-jin. "Is he my father?" Soo-jin nodded. The boy looked back at Tae-hyun. For several seconds, neither spoke. Then Tae-hyun slowly crouched. "What is your name?" "Min-jae." Tae-hyun smiled through tears. "Min-jae." The boy nodded. "Mom said you were supposed to come." Tae-hyun's face changed. "Your mother. She said you would come when you finally learned the truth." "Where is she?" The boy's expression fell. "She went away." "When?" "2 years ago." Tae-hyun's heart sank. "Where?" "I don't know." Zuri stepped forward. "Min-jae." The boy looked at her. "Who are you?" Zuri smiled gently. "My name is Zuri. Are you his wife?" "Yes." Min-jae looked at Tae-hyun. "You have a wife?" Tae-hyun nodded. "Yes." The boy looked confused. "Then why didn't you come before?" Tae-hyun had no answer. Soo-jin gave Tae-hyun a wooden box. "Leah left this for you." Inside were photographs, letters, medical records, and a small envelope. Tae-hyun opened it. The letter was dated 6 years earlier. He began reading. "Tae-hyun, if you're reading this, then someone finally told you about Min-jae. I need you to understand something. I never believed you abandoned me, but someone wanted me to believe you did." Tae-hyun's eyes filled with tears. The letter continued. "Your family told me that if I stayed, our son would never be safe. They were willing to destroy me to keep him hidden. But there is something you don't know." Tae-hyun stopped. Zuri watched him. "What?" He continued reading. "Min-jae is not the only secret your family has been hiding." His hands began shaking. The letter ended. "Ask what happened at the old Busan maternity clinic." Tae-hyun looked at Zuri. "What's that?" "I don't know." Soo-jin looked away. "You do." Soo-jin hesitated. Then she said, "The maternity clinic was where Leah gave birth." Tae-hyun frowned. "And?" Soo-jin's voice became quiet. "There was another baby born that same night. They returned to Busan before sunrise. The old maternity clinic had been closed for years. Its records were supposedly destroyed. But Soo-jin kept copies. They entered a small storage facility near the old port. Inside were boxes of documents. Zuri found the maternity records. There were 2 births listed that night. The first, male, Leah Morgan. The second, female, unidentified mother. Tae-hyun stared. Who was the mother? The name had been blacked out. "Why?" Soo-jin answered. "Because someone paid to remove it." Zuri looked at the birth date. Then she froze. "That date." Tae-hyun looked at her. "What?" "That was the night Junho disappeared." Silence. The connections were becoming clearer. Junho hadn't simply disappeared after the accident. Someone had used the chaos surrounding his disappearance to erase another secret. A baby. A second child. But whose? They searched old records from the Seo family. Tae-hyun discovered a name he had never heard before. Kim Hye-rin. She had been a private nurse employed by the Seo family. She had worked at the maternity clinic. And she had vanished 6 years earlier. Tae-hyun tracked her to a small village near Suncheon. They found her living alone. When she saw Tae-hyun, she began crying. "You finally came." Tae-hyun stepped inside. "Tell me what happened." Hye-rin looked at Zuri. Then at Soo-jin. "I've been waiting years for someone to ask." She explained. The night Leah gave birth, another young woman arrived at the clinic. She was terrified. She had been brought there secretly. She gave birth to a baby girl. But before she could leave, Do-hwan arrived. He ordered the nurse to change the records. The baby was taken. The mother was told her daughter had died. Hyun refused. So Do-hwan threatened her. She eventually helped the mother escape. But she couldn't save the child. Tae-hyun whispered. Where's the girl? Hyun looked at him. I don't know. Then she added. But I know who raised her. The trail led to Gyeongju. There, they found an elderly Korean woman named Park Sun-hee. She owned a small guest house. When Zuri showed her the photograph of the newborn baby, Sun-hee became emotional. I remember her. Tae-hyun stepped forward. Where is she? Sun-hee shook her head. She isn't a baby anymore. How old is she? 20. Tae-hyun's heart stopped. 20. That meant the child had been born years before Min-jae. The mystery had changed again. This wasn't simply about a missing baby. This was about a woman who had been erased from the Seo family's history. Sun-hee gave them a name. Maya Morgan. Zuri stared at her. Morgan. Sun-hee nodded. She was raised believing her mother had abandoned her. Tae-hyun looked at Zuri. Leah? Sun-hee shook her head. No. She pointed toward the old photograph. The baby's mother was someone else. Then she whispered. The baby's father was your brother. Tae-hyun couldn't speak. Junho had a daughter. A daughter he had never mentioned. A daughter who had been stolen before he disappeared. Zuri struggled to understand. Why didn't Junho tell us? Sun-hee looked at her. He tried. She handed Zuri another envelope. Your husband doesn't know this, but Junho left this for him. Inside was a letter. Tae-hyun read it. Brother. If you ever find this letter, then everything has gone wrong. There is a girl named Maya. She is my daughter. I never told the family because Do-hwan threatened her life. Tae-hyun closed his eyes. The entire truth was finally coming together. Do-hwan hadn't only tried to erase Junho. He had been erasing children connected to the Seo family. Children who could inherit. Children who could expose him. Children who could destroy the story he had built. Maya was living in Daegu. She was 20 years old. She had grown up believing she had been abandoned. When Zuri and Tae-hyun found her, she refused to believe them. You're lying. Tae-hyun showed her the letter. She read it. Her hands trembled. This handwriting. It's your father's. She looked at him. You knew him. He was my brother. Maya stared. Then she laughed bitterly. My father didn't want me. Tae-hyun shook his head. He loved you. Then where was he? He was trying to protect you. That's what everyone says when they don't have an answer. Zuri stepped forward. I understand why you don't trust us. Maya looked at her. But you deserve the truth. Zuri gave her Junho's photograph. Maya stared at it. For the first time, her expression broke. He looks like me. Tae-hyun smiled through tears. You look exactly like him. Maya turned away. She began crying. But there was still something wrong. The timeline didn't make sense. Maya was 20. Min-jae was 7. And Do-hwan had been manipulating the family for years. Zuri noticed something. The dates on the documents didn't match. She examined the maternity records again. Then she found something. A correction. The date of Maya's birth had been altered. Zuri stared at it. This isn't right. Tae-hyun looked over. What? The original date. She pointed. Maya hadn't been born 20 years ago. She was born 18 years ago. Someone had changed her age. Why? Then Zuri noticed another document. A medical report. It contained Maya's blood type. And beneath it was a note. Matched to donor record, SJ. Tae-hyun froze. SJ? Seo Junho? Zuri nodded. No. Tae-hyun looked confused. Then who? Zuri stared at the document. Seo-ji. She stopped. Then her face changed. Soo-jin. Everyone looked at her. Soo-jin stepped backward. Zuri whispered. You're not just the woman who helped Leah. Soo-jin's eyes filled with tears. You know. What is your connection to Maya? Soo-jin finally answered. I am her mother. Silence. Soo-jin revealed the truth. She had been in love with Junho. Before Junho met Zuri's world. Before Do-hwan's conspiracy. Before the accident. But Junho never knew she was pregnant. She had given birth to Maya. Do-hwan had taken the child because he believed Junho would eventually inherit control of Haedam. A legitimate heir would threaten his plans. Sujin had been forced to disappear. She spent years trying to find her daughter. And when she finally discovered where Maya was, she couldn't approach her. Because Do-hwan was still watching. Zuri looked at Sujin. "Why did you call me?" Sujin answered. "Because Do-hwan is gone. But his people aren't." Tae-hyun's face hardened. "What do you mean?" Sujin looked at him. "Someone else took control of the operation after his arrest." "Who?" Sujin hesitated. "Your father." Tae-hyun couldn't believe it. His father had spent years appearing broken by Junho's death. But Sujin revealed something darker. Do-hwan had been the architect. But Tae-hyun's father knew. He hadn't ordered every crime. But he had allowed the secrets to continue because exposing the truth would destroy the family name. He knew about Maya. He knew about Min-jae. He knew Junho was alive. And he had allowed everyone to believe otherwise. Tae-hyun confronted him. "Why?" His father sat silently. Finally, he said. "Because I believed I was protecting the company. You destroyed my brother. I protected the family. You destroyed my family." His father looked at Zuri. "No." He shook his head. "Your family destroyed itself." Tae-hyun walked away. He had spent his entire life believing his father was honorable. Now he realized he had been protecting a lie. Before Tae-hyun could expose everything, Maya disappeared. A message arrived. "Come to the old shipyard in Yongdo." Zuri immediately knew. It was a trap. But they couldn't leave Maya. They went. The old shipyard was empty. Rusting cranes stood against the night sky. The ocean crashed against the concrete walls. Then the lights came on. Tae-hyun's father stood in the middle of the shipyard. Beside him was Maya. She was unharmed, but terrified. His father looked at Tae-hyun. "You don't understand what you're doing." Tae-hyun stepped forward. "I understand everything. You'll destroy the company." "I don't care. You'll destroy your father's name. You already did that." His father looked at Zuri. "You brought this family nothing but chaos." Zuri shook her head. "No." She looked at Maya. "Your family created the chaos." Then Junho appeared. He walked slowly into the shipyard. His father stared at him. "My son." Junho looked at him. "You let them believe I was dead." His father began crying. "I thought I had no choice." Junho answered. "You always had a choice." Tae-hyun had secretly arranged for the entire conversation to be recorded. His father's confession. His admissions about Maya. The cover-up. Everything. The police arrived. His father was arrested. Maya was reunited with her mother. And for the first time, the Seo family had nowhere left to hide. But Zuri realized something. This wasn't just about money. It was about children who had grown up believing they weren't wanted. Children who had been told their parents abandoned them. Children who had spent years carrying pain that wasn't theirs. She looked at Maya. Then at Min-jae. Then at Eli. 3 young lives connected by the secrets of one powerful family. Months later, the Seo family looked completely different. Junho became involved in rebuilding Haedam Maritime Group. Tae-hyun remained chairman, but he changed the company's culture. No more hidden accounts. No more family-controlled investigations. No more secret settlements. Maya began studying marine biology. It was something she had dreamed of since childhood. Min-jae began spending weekends with Tae-hyun. At first, they were awkward around each other. Then something changed. Tae-hyun took him sailing. The boy stood at the front of the boat, laughing. "Faster." Tae-hyun laughed. "Your mother will kill me." Zuri watched from behind them. She smiled. Then Eli joined them. The 3 children stood together. Different ages. Different histories. But now they were family. One evening, Tae-hyun found Zuri sitting alone near the harbor. He sat beside her. "You've been quiet." "I'm thinking." "About leaving?" Zuri looked at him. "No." He smiled. "Good." She looked across the water. "I came to Korea thinking I was building a life for my son." "You did." "I never expected this." "Neither did I." Zuri smiled. "You know what I realized?" "What?" "I thought I married into a powerful family." She looked at him. "But I actually married into a broken one." Tae-hyun laughed softly. "That's not very romantic." "No." She leaned against him. "But we fixed some of it." He kissed her forehead. Together. But there was still one person missing. Leah Morgan. Min-jae's mother. Zuri couldn't forget her. Neither could Tae-hyun. They searched. Hospitals. Hotels. Airports. Old records. Nothing. Then, 6 months later, a letter arrived. It was addressed to Tae-hyun. Inside was a photograph. Leah standing beside the ocean. Alive. On the back was a message. I'm not ready to come home. But now I know my son is safe. Thank you for finding him. Tae-hyun read the letter twice. Zuri stood beside him. She's alive. Yes. Are you going after her? Tae-hyun looked at the photograph. Then he shook his head. No. Zuri looked surprised. Why? Because she deserves to decide when she's ready. Zuri smiled. That was the right answer. 1 year later, the Seo family held a celebration at a quiet seaside estate near Gyeongju. No reporters. No politicians. No business executives. Just family. Maya arrived with her mother. Min-jae ran through the garden. Eli chased after him. Junho stood beside Tae-hyun. For the first time in years, the brothers stood together without fear. Tae-hyun looked at Zuri. She was wearing a simple white dress. No designer jewelry. No cameras. No reporters. Just Zuri. He walked toward her. I have something for you. He handed her a small box. She opened it. Inside was a silver pendant. But this one was different. It wasn't the Seo family crest. It was a simple compass. Zuri smiled. What does it mean? Tae-hyun answered. You changed the direction of my life. She looked at him. That sounds expensive. He laughed. It wasn't. She raised an eyebrow. It was made by Eli. Zuri's expression softened. Then Eli appeared. Mommy. He ran toward her. Tae-hyun crouched. Come here, son. Eli ran into his arms. Zuri watched them. And for the first time, the word family didn't feel complicated. It felt simple. It felt safe. That night, Zuri stood on the balcony. The ocean was quiet. Tae-hyun joined her. Are you happy? She smiled. Yes. He handed her one final envelope. What is this? I found it in Junho's old things. She opened it. The handwriting was Junho's. Zuri, if you're reading this, then my family finally told you the truth. I spent years believing I could protect everyone by keeping secrets. I was wrong. Secrets don't protect families. They destroy them slowly. You were never the problem. You were the person who forced us to face what we had become. Zuri's eyes filled with tears. She continued. Thank you for loving my son when you had every reason to hate this family. She looked at Eli through the glass doors. Then she read the final line. And thank you for giving my brother something I thought he had lost forever, a reason to believe in family again. Zuri closed the letter. Tae-hyun stood beside her. She looked at him. Your brother was right. About what? Secrets destroy families. Tae-hyun smiled. Then no more secrets. Zuri raised an eyebrow. Promise? Promise. She looked toward the ocean. The lights of the Korean coastline shimmered in the distance. Behind them, their family laughed. 3 children. 2 brothers. A mother. A woman who had once been an outsider. And a billionaire who had once believed love was weakness. None of them knew what the future would bring. But they finally knew something more important. They had survived the truth. And sometimes, surviving the truth is what finally gives a family the chance to become whole. Thank you for enjoying this very story to the end. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you're yet to do that, because stories like this and feedback from y'all keeps us motivated to keep them coming. See you on the next.